Well, hello there, people of the internet, and hello again. I'm TheMBmulti, and welcome to part 2 of My Doki Doki SNAFU. In the previous episode, we started the mod, and nothing super interesting happened, but we joined the literature club, of course, so we are gonna continue. Something draws on me as I begin leaving my house. I wonder if Sayori would want to start walking to school together again now that we're in clubmates. Not that we really need an excuse, but using the club as a reason would probably help me avoid any Kiba-induced headaches. Oh wow. Okay everyone. Time to start socializing. Throughout your days in the literature club, you'll often be given a choice of who to spend your time with. Doing this will help you grow closer to whoever you choose. Use the Appeal tab in the menu to help keep track of all the progress you make. Okay, who should I walk to school with? Yeah, hang on a minute, in the menu? Oh, there! Ah, okay. Oh, can you also, like, end up with Kiba? That would be kind of funny. Kiba, Monika, Natsuki, Sayori, Yuri. Wow. I can't even begin to like how many endings there could be. I mean, maybe there's just like one good ending, one bad ending with every character. But, you know, like with all of them having a scale from 1 to 10, like fucking hell. They have the potential for like 15 million endings. If that's the case, then of course I'm not going to find all of them. But maybe I will just do an ending with, like the good ending with all the girls or something. And the good ending with Kiba, maybe. That would be kind of cool. Who should I walk to school with? Well, obviously we're going to walk with Sayori. I am going to save. Just over the previous one. Sayori. She probably has a lot to talk about now that we're in the same club together. Guess I'll let Kiba know what's going on. This consideration soon proves regrettable as he quickly responds to my text with "Go get her, champ! I'm rooting for ya!" Sigh. Can't imagine walking to school with her more often will do much to clear up this misunderstanding. Slightly exasperated, I lean against my gate while scrolling aimlessly through my phone. 10 minutes pass and still no sign of Sayori. She's never been an early bird, but still. We'll end up being late if she doesn't leave soon. Another 2 minutes pass. Waiting here much longer will cause me to miss my first bell regardless of whether she shows up or not. Oh well, I guess we could always just try walking together tomorrow. Bang! My monologuing is interrupted by the sound of a door being slammed on the opposite side of the street. Looking over reveals the culprit to be a dopey looking girl who is currently fumbling around in her bag while also wrestling an intense case of bedhead. Yeah, I guess this isn't a bad sight to start your day with. As far as sights go, I suppose this one isn't too bad. Then you literally just said that. You literally say the same thing twice there. Yeah, this is a bad sight to start your day with. Hey, as far as sights go, I suppose this isn't too bad. Do we have extra appeal yet? Oh yeah, we do. Wow, we jumped to 3 immediately. She's upon me within seconds. Mark, why are you still here? You're gonna be late. I reach up and begin pulling on her cheeks. That's rich, coming from the person who was gonna make me late to begin with. Oh, sorry. Honestly. Yeah. Come on, we'll postpone your scolding for when we're not short on time. He stands in a confused stupor for a moment before catching up to me. Wait up! What do you mean by the person who was gonna make you late? It's exactly how it sounds. I've been waiting for you in front of my house this whole time thinking you want to walk together again. Really? No, that was a joke. I was actually practicing being late for my future son's baseball game. Mark! Geez, do you always have to say something like that right after being nice? Are you asking me if I'm contractually obligated? Obviously not. Oh. Then we'll go with the tried and true answer of my personality sucks. That's probably not something you should sound proud about. Yeah, I'm just making the most of what I've got. Honestly. Hi, Sayori. Mark! She jumps in surprise as I step closer to her. What are you doing all of a sudden? Sorry, Sayori. I just need a better look. A better look? Her face goes bright red as she begins restlessly fidgeting with her fingers. Hey, can I ask you something? Hmm? Did you eat toast this morning? Toast? Yeah, you know. Sliced bread browned on both sides by exposure to radiant heat. I wasn't really asking for the definition, but yeah. Why'd you ask? Aside from the myriad of crumbs currently decorating your face? No reason, really. Mark! Sorry, it's really not that bad. Here, stand still for a moment. I placed my hand on Sayori's shoulder to calm her down. I'd used my free hand to wipe away the crumbs littering the sides of her mouth. There, that should be good enough. Though you still might want to run some water over your mouth at school to be sure. Hmm? Something wrong, Sayori? No, not really. You just acted nice, so I was sort of waiting to hear something mean or sarcastic. Oh? I had no idea you were such a masochist. Sayori secretly darkness confirmed. Her last name is Sayori La Latina. Because I'm not. That a fact? Jeez. Do you have any idea of how scared I was when you suddenly got all close? Scared? Yeah. I had no idea what you were gonna do after leaning in like that. Seriously? Were you expecting me to start making out with you on the spot or something? Well, no. That certainly didn't instill much confidence. Natsuki told me about how all men are beasts the other day. Oh, that is such a Natsuki thing to say. Of course she would say that. So I sort of had that going through my head. What kind of mental image does this girl have of me exactly? Who? Natsuki or Sayori? Because Natsuki's image is rather clear. First, she doesn't rebuke the idea of me being a pervert. Oh, that's okay. She's talking about Sayori. He's talking about Sayori. She doesn't rebuke the idea of me being a pervert, and now she thinks I'm just going to casually assault her during my morning commute. Oh, we need to hurry. The first bell's gonna ring soon. Oh, right. Let's go. That is actually kind of worrying. Like she likes me she likes me so much that she's completely alright with. Would have been alright if I just like straight up started assault her right there. That is not okay, Sayori. Like even though, maybe like subconsciously she kind of like the reason why she's okay with it is because she kind of like knows that I would not actually do it, or like I would not actually do something that make her uncomfortable because you know we have a close relationship, even though it's been watered down a little bit because of But still, like, just to be sure, Sayori, I do think some boundaries that you should place go a long way. We ran the rest of the way to school, just barely making it in time for homeroom. Lunchtime swing spin. Okay, so we're skipping all the school stuff, like actual class stuff. After grabbing some food from the cafeteria, I find myself wandering into the courtyard once again. I normally don't spend my lunch period outside, but after my failed attempt at conceding myself yesterday, I kind of enjoyed eating out here. The weather's nice and cool. The building blocks the wind, and sitting in the sunlight helps wake me up. Also, like yesterday, there's a person coming along to wreck the perfectly peaceful atmosphere I'm trying to be absorbed in. Well, isn't this a surprise? As usual, Kiba seems totally focused on making me as annoyed as possible. Before you start your little song and dance routine, can you at least do me a favor and sit down first? Surely someone of your caliber is capable of eating and mentally exhausting me at the same time. I just don't want my food's heat to be a casualty of maniacal ramblings again. Alright, I'll do as you ask. But geez, someone of my caliber? I'm a little embarrassed. Don't be, it wasn't a compliment. He seems to ignore me as he continues to nervously rub his neck, like some girl who just got asked on a date. Oh, that's right. Sorry, Mark, but your cheap words won't be enough to keep me at bay. That's a shame. If they were, I imagine we would probably get along better. And again, I never complimented you. Cutting me off before I can finish, Kiba leans in and begins talking in a hushed voice. At least tell me that you made her breakfast in bed, right? I know it sounds a little cliche, but a nice gesture like that would go a long way. I was expecting him to be a little giddy after I went to the club yesterday, but at this point I'm totally lost. Taking my silence as a no, Kiba continues. Nothing like that, huh? Oh well, maybe I did have my hopes set a little too high. After all, you never really struck me as the romantic type, no offense. Though, if I were you, I'd try and do just a... Wow, sorry for the burps. Do a little something like that every once in a while. I'm afraid that if you stay this way much longer, the relationship might fall apart completely. At this point, I'm convinced that Kiba has somehow managed to forget who I am and is having a conversation meant for someone else. Wait just a second, can I ask a question? Do you know who I am? Do you know who I am? I'm the guy that's gonna burn your house down with the lemons. I'll have my engineers invent a combustible lemon to burn your house down. He says what we're all thinking. Who it is you currently... Yeah. Huh? Yeah, you are. We were in the same class last year. So that was it. Okay, then I have one more thing I want to know. Sure, what's going on? Up until this point, what the actual hell have you been talking about? That's easy. I was talking about how you spent the night at Sayori's and then walked to school together. You know, despite myself, I've never considered Kiba to be a lost cause. I was hoping that if he spent enough time with me, he would slowly absorb more and more of my negative aura, and after that negativity turned him into a realistic and functioning member of society, I'd be able to give myself a little pat on the back. But it's clear to me now that those expectations were just too unrealistic, and that it seems there really is nothing I can do for this guy. As such, I'm currently staring at him silently as my brain fails to come up with any words that could improve the situation. However, there are plenty that come to mind that would inevitably make it worse. Since that's all I have to work with, I decide to roll with it. Mark, everything alright? Asking if everything is alright after laying all that on me? You really are cruel, Kiba. Huh? I'm shocked, honestly. I had no idea you'd be the first one to figure things out. Figure out what? Though I guess it is ultimately my fault. I started getting careless towards the end. I mean, I had everything checked off the list. I made sure no one followed us on the way home and that nobody tried to visit my house while I was gone. To think everything would come to light because of my selfish decision to not use contraceptives. Contraceptives? Wait, you mean like I had no idea a little bout of morning sickness would end up being what unraveled all my hard work. It's true that I could have just left her and met you at our usual spot, but my pride as a man just wouldn't allow it. Even though this may make things harder, I'm still able to stand up straight and be proud of my actions. I let out a long breath after finishing my spectacular, entirely fictional story. While taking a moment to compliment my own narrative skills. You see, you do belong in the literature club. I noticed that Kiba seems to have broken. He's emitting incoherent groans and seems to have begun foaming at the mouth. I had no idea. So you and Sayori, you... Of course not! If only a chop to the head was enough to fix whatever it is he's got going on up there. You didn't? No, how many times do I have to tell you that me and Sayori aren't like that? Breathing a sigh of relief, Kiba begins rubbing his head as he tries to compose himself. Man, Mark, you really had me going with that one. I mean, I totally bought everything you said. Actually, the whole thing kinda sounds a bit too realistic. That whole story was nothing more than a skit written and performed by yours truly, and it has no historical accuracy whatsoever. Yeah, I guess you're right. I can't really picture Sayori doing any stuff like that anyways. I'm glad you're convinced of my innocence. I sit and watch as Kiba continues trying to calm down before finally being able to eat his lunch. The moment of silence that comes over as we both finish our meals doesn't last for long. Okay, now that that's done, I want you to lay it all out for me. I'm talking the room, the members, their taste in literature, their favorite colors, their home addresses. I mean, it's not that bad if I share their favorite colors if I know them, but I don't really feel comfortable sharing their home addresses with you. Or anyone else that just doesn't really, doesn't deserve to know them out of the blue. If there are any girls I want to know their taste in men, then their email addresses. Oh, if there are any girls I want to know their taste in men, their email addresses, their 3 sizes. Ow! He's interrupted by a quick thump to the forehead. You're getting ahead of yourself. Sorry, I just wanted to know how far I could take it. But I really do want to know about the club. Oh, and the girls. I should make things easy then. Huh? At his request, I begin telling Kiba about my first day in the literature club. This includes the details I was able to learn about each of the members. Of course, I'm not exactly familiar with any of them, besides Sayori, so my knowledge isn't very extensive. But I get the feeling that Kiba isn't too concerned about the little things. And that's it? That's everyone? Yeah, just me and those 4, no one else. Is that right? It seems my synopsis of the club was enough to finally drive Kiba over the ledge he's been standing on for so long. Standing at for so long. Though I have a pretty good idea why. Let me get this straight. You just made sure I'm not just to make sure I'm not misunderstanding anything. You're telling me that your club consists of your cute childhood friends, the school idol, a mature timid girl, and a lowly tsundere? Does that sound right? I don't really approve of some of your wording, but yes, that's pretty much the gist of it. Well, ain't that swell? Hehehe. I watch as Kiba lays his head down on the table while seeming to have an existential crisis. Now that he mentions it, I guess my situation is pretty similar to one that you might see in a harem anime. Though I do wish he'd get his head out of the clouds. If anything, being the only guy in a group of girls would be a huge pain in the neck. But trying to convince him of that now would probably be an exercise in futility. I feel something like pity wash over me as I continue watching this poor lad suffer from his delusions. Hey, the lunch break is about to end. Get up before you're late to class. Go without me. I'm gonna lay here for a little while longer. Right. Abiding by his orders, I leave Kiba to battle his demons alone. So, good luck out there, soldier. Alright, another day at the literature club. Oh, there it is. Right at it. Not even waiting for Sayori to bring me over. After my final class ends, I return to the club room that I became familiar with yesterday. Upon entering, I half expect Sayori to come tackle me with spewing nonsense about how I actually came. What I'm actually faced with is pretty much the total opposite. Sayori isn't even here. Not just her, but it seems like the only person who did show up is Yuri. Yes! Monika mentioned that attendance wasn't necessary, but this is more than I expected. More? Don't you mean less? Don't you mean less than I expected? No, Yuri, noticing I've entered the room, approaches me. Hello again, Mark. I'm glad to see you came back to the club. Well, I'm an official member now after all. Speaking of which, where are the others? Was my presence so bothersome that they all decided to ditch? Of course not. They would never do that. That reaction was unexpected. Was she not able to tell I wasn't serious? Right. I didn't actually think that was the reason. I was just joking. Joking? I see. That is a relief. Are you serious? Do girls like this actually exist nowadays? I mean, I'll be the first to admit that my sense of humor is totally warped. But what I said just now was incredibly tame compared to the other stuff that comes out of my mouth. Anyway, if that wasn't the reason, do you mind telling me where they are? Oh, right. Monika and Sayori informed me that they were going to the faculty office to discuss the club's new member. I see. So their absence is technically my fault, though I don't dare say that out loud. What about Natsuki? Did she go too? That one I can see genuinely trying to avoid me. No, in fact, Natsuki is currently present. She's right over here. There. Peering past Yuri towards where she is pointing, I find that the door of the closet is slightly ajar. She in there performing a seance or something? I didn't quite catch that. Don't worry, it was nothing worth noting. I don't like to pry, but is there a reason she reads in the closet? Sorry, but I'm afraid I'm not entirely sure myself. She normally reads on the floor next to the windows, but today she went in the closet to retrieve her books and never came out. I see. So it was manga after all. She also seems to keep them in the club room. Alright, thanks for letting me know. What do you mean it was manga after all? It's like he saw a box of books and like, that could be manga. And then Natsuki was like, no! But that never happened in the previous... that never happened. So like, what the fuck? What the hell? Feels like that's a line from... that's supposed to respond to another line, which was cut out or something, you know? Alright, thanks for letting me know. There is no need to thank me, Mark. It's my responsibility as the senior member to answer any questions you may have. That a fact? Yes, that it is. I'll admit there is something endearing about this over-serious, somewhat airheaded girl named Yuri. What do you mean airheaded? Like she's like the airheaded makes me feel like she like Yuri feels like the main stable may not be like she has like both her feet on the floor as more firmly than anyone else. Well, maybe Monika, but airheaded is definitely not the word I would use to describe Yuri. But alright, she seems nice enough. I don't think I'd mind learning more about her. Actually, Yuri, since I have your attention. What do you normally do while you're in here? Well, if there are no activities that come up during the meeting, I normally just read. We actually keep a variety of titles in the back of the room. Sure enough, I glance over and see books lining the shelves against the wall. Of course, you could always bring your own if those don't suit your interests. Good to know, but I doubt that'll be much of an issue. I'm content with reading just about anything. The subject's not something I normally get caught up on. What about you? You mentioned liking psychological thrillers and horror novels, right? Got any recommendations you could give me? Well, I do suppose I've read a few recently that were enjoyable, but are you sure you want one from me? Natsuki says the books I read are odd. I'm sure that's just difference in taste. I'll likely enjoy anything you recommend. Truly? In that case, Yuri turns around and heads back to the desk that she was stationed at before beginning to dig through her bag. The timidness seems pretty strongly with this one. But at least we have a common interest. Assuming you can call my reading habit a genuine interest. After a few seconds, she returns to me nervously carrying a novel. Here, if you accept, I could loan you this one. Taking the book she's presenting, I look over the cover. Damn it! I was waiting for Portrait of Markov. The Killing Game. Based off her description from yesterday, this definitely looks like something that would fall within her scope. I finished that one pretty recently and hadn't gotten around to taking it out of my bag, so I wouldn't mind you holding on to it. This book looks like it'll be interesting. Thanks for letting me borrow it, Yuri. Maybe once I'm finished, we can discuss our thoughts. This is Yuri's dream come true when I'm suggesting it myself. Are you sure you'd want to do that? Sure, I think it could be fun. I see. Well, I think I'd enjoy doing that as well. Novel in hand, I make my way to a desk and set my stuff down. Discussing a book together, huh? I feel a little selfish for having asked, but I can't deny that the thought of it does bring up some nostalgic, if not bittersweet memories. Judging by her blush, she seems perfectly fine with the idea. Guess that means it's not all bad. This runs through my head as I look down at the book Yuri handed me. It's time to better yourself. Oh wow, there's even more stuff here. It's time to better yourself. You'll often be given various options of how you spend your time. Depending on what you choose, you may attain a stat boost. These stats will dictate which scenes are available and if you're able to deepen your relationships with the girls. Your stats consist of intelligence, sociability, and athleticism. Different choices will increase different stats, so make sure to pay attention. This first one will serve as an example. Stats have been added to the Appeal tab. I feel like reading. This? Opening... Okay, they've been added to the Appeal tab. Yeah, okay, there. Ah, there we go. Alright. So, athleticism, intelligence, and sociability. Okay, so I guess Yuri would prefer intelligence. Well, sociability can go in anyone's direction, I guess. Athleticism is definitely like Monika's area. Opening to page 1, I begin to read. I've got a pretty solid grasp of the book's plot after about 20 minutes. It's a horror mystery novel where several people wind up trapped in a school for various reasons. After a sudden power outage, a dead body appears among the group. Of course, by this part I was a little disappointed. This is the same plot of mystery novels you can find on the shelves of grade schools. However, my initial opinion was off the mark. Usually in books like this, you can pretty well guess the killer, like the whole "it was the butler" thing. But as the characters became more fleshed out and afraid, you could really feel the despair they are fighting through. It also has a nice touch where the killer leaves signs and markings that play into the psychological horror element. Intelligence increased by 3. Totally engrossed, the sudden sound of the clubroom door swinging open causes me to flinch slightly. Mark! Sayori is practically on top of my desk before I even manage to look up. I can't believe you're actually here! Not that I expected you to skip, but still! Oh, and you're even reading too! This is so bizarre! If seeing a person read a book inside the literature club is bizarre to you, I'm afraid you might not know the meaning of the word. That's not what I meant, you meanie. It's just kinda strange to see you sitting in the same club as me. Plus, you totally blend in. If I didn't know you, I would have been convinced that you were some kind of literature club veteran. Thanks? I doubt it's the reading that made me blend in, but rather my years of experience in trying to hide my presence and avoid attention. That reminds me of that one anime, I can't remember, what's it called? Kubo Won't Let Me Be Invisible. Reminds me of that, where he's just like, nobody notices him except for, you know, the purple-haired girl that sits next to him. Is there going to be another season of that? I really hope so. I really love that show. Anime, show, series, whatever you want to fucking call it. So, what you reading? She curiously scans over the book still being held open on my desk. It's titled The Killing Game. Yuri loaned it to me. Huh? Yuri did? Yeah, we were talking about books earlier and she gave me this one as a recommendation. It's a refreshing take on the murder mystery genre. So far, anyway. Ooh, that sounds kinda scary. Assuming your taste in literature hasn't changed in the last few years, I can imagine it'd be a bit too intense for you. I think any book that Yuri reads would probably be like that. Not a bad observation considering you once told me you'd rather watch grass grow than read books. Why do you remember that? Jeez, I was a little kid when I said that. I've grown up since then. True. It's undeniable that you've gotten taller. Was that an insult? An excellent question. Sayori pouts at me as I set a bookmark on the page before sliding the novel into my bag. Monika approaches the two of us as I do this. You seem to have settled in pretty well, Mark. I suppose so. Reading like this isn't so bad every now and then. I'm glad to hear it. That attitude has already put you ahead of a certain fellow club member. Monika shoots Sayori a cheeky smile. I wonder who she's talking about, don't you, Mark? You. It's you, Sayori. Ah, you're supposed to be subtle. So you don't deny the fact that she was indeed talking about you? Meanie. After Sayori has fully succumbed to defeat, I turned my attention back to Monika. Was there anything you needed? Not anything specifically, but I was just checking to see if you had any more questions regarding the club. Thanks, but I can't say that I do at the moment. Yuri answered some stuff earlier, so I'm good for now. I'm happy to hear that the two of you are getting along. And if you do think of anything else, just let me know. Sure thing. She turns around to go back to the teacher's desk, but I stop her before she makes any progress. Oh, and thanks, Monika. You too, Sayori. Yuri told me that the two of you had gone to the faculty office to tell the advisor about me joining the club. I appreciate it. Both girls are caught off guard by my sudden gratitude. It's no problem, and you don't have to thank us for something like that. It's our job as president and vice president to take care of our club members after all. Our club's members after all. Yeah, you can count on us. Yeah, that a fact? Looks like Yuri isn't the only one who has this sense of duty regarding her fellow club members. Though our advisor was quite surprised when we told her a boy was joining our otherwise all-girl club. It seems as though she was having some funny ideas. So please do try to be on your best behavior. Right, I'll do my best. The two girls walk away from my desk, proud of their work as literature club executives. Does everyone think that I'm some sort of predator? Maybe Yuri wasn't acting timid earlier because she was embarrassed, but because she was scared I was gonna violate her chastity. Sigh. I say again out loud without actually sighing. 2 days in and I'm already regarded as a sexual deviant. That's gotta be some kind of record. After spending several minutes thinking of ways to try and improve my moral image, I noticed that it's about time for the club to end. Okay everyone, it looks like we're just about out of time. I think that will do it for today. With this, everyone in the room begins to get ready to leave. I even managed to catch a rare glimpse of the magical creature known as Natsuki as she exited the closet. Hey Mark, you ready to walk home? Sure thing. I say this, but end up stopping almost immediately after we begin heading towards the door. Hold on for a second, Sayori, there is something I need to do before we leave. Huh? Hey Yuri. Did you need something, Mark? I just wanted to make sure that you're alright with me holding on to this book. I see. What I said earlier is true. I'm okay with you keeping that one. Being able to read outside of the club will allow you to enjoy it without having to worry about the time constraints of the meetings. Thanks. It's got me hooked already, so I doubt it'll take me too long to get through. I look forward to having that discussion. Right, as am I. Sounds good. See you tomorrow. Yes, goodbye. You ready to leave, Sayori? Oh, yeah, let's go. No, Sayori's... Is this gonna be like The Walking Dead, where Sayori didn't like that? It's gonna be on top of the screen. While we're walking home together, I notice that Sayori is unusually quiet. It's not long before she brings up the topic I've been expecting. So, you and Yuri seem to get along pretty well, huh? I suppose so. Wouldn't go so far as to say we don't get along. That's good, I'm glad you're fitting in. There haven't been very many times in my life I've engaged in conversation with the opposite sex. Part of this is due to growing up with a girl who was fairly overbearing. Because of her influence, I'd say I'm unrefined in this regard. My relationship with Sayori is a prime example of this. While some people might think that the way I treat her is playful or flirty teasing, it's really more accurate to say that I'm just channeling behavior that was instilled into me over the span of many years. That's not to say I don't care about her, because I definitely do, but due to my own ignorance, it can often be a struggle to handle Sayori's more girly side. But I think about this during my walk home. Well, that's because she's currently acting jealous, a trait that I rarely see her display due to my aforementioned lack of mingling. I first discovered this trait of hers one day, when we were playing at the park as kids. Another girl that frequented said park had asked me to push her on the swing, so I did. Sayori, seeing this as an encroachment on her territory, told me I shouldn't talk to that girl anymore and then proceeded not to talk to me herself for 3 days. When asked on the 4th day why she did this, her reply was, "It's hard to explain." Being a dumb brat, I didn't have the slightest clue as to why she had been mad at me, and I didn't really think about it too much afterwards. However, that was just the first time Sayori expressed her displeasure regarding my interaction with women. There have been more since. There was the girl in grade school who asked for my help with homework, the girl who got assigned to my group during a field trip, the girl who complimented my hair at the grocery store. Every single time Sayori would put on a fake smile and go, "You two seem to get along," or "She seemed nice, don't you think?" Lacking the wisdom I possess now, I would just nod in agreement. This would prompt Sayori to once again ignore me for 3 days. I finally wised up to this my second year of middle school when I let a girl in my class borrow an umbrella on a rainy day. Sayori pulled her usual 3-day routine, but that's not all. Ever since then, every time it rains, she will ask to borrow an umbrella. Even if I was diabetic, the sweetness of it would probably leave me comatose to sleeping with a dirt blanket. So, given the information I currently have on and my past experience, I'm beyond convinced that her jealousy is flaring up. Looking in Sayori's direction, I wait for her to bring up my conversation with Yuri again. Sure enough, after a few seconds of silence... She let you borrow one of her books, huh? That was really nice. I'd say so. She mentioned the two of you having a discussion too. What's that about? Oh yeah, I guess you wouldn't know. Yuri asked me to explain the birds and the bees to her once I finished reading the book. Oh, that's nice. Huh? Huh? Well, what? I was pretty surprised too. But if she's willing to go so far to find out, saying no isn't really an option, that'd feel cruel. You're joking, right? There's no way. Twack. Of course I'm joking. You really think a girl would ask a guy she's only known for 2 days about how sex works? Ow. Sayori performs a regular recovery routine of rubbing her head on the spot where my karate chop connected. Man, you really need to work on that jealousy streak of yours. The jealous streak of yours. Jealous streak? I'm not jealous. What, you supposed to be a tsundere now? Who would be convinced by that? You're worrying over nothing. I don't intend to bestow knowledge about doing the deeds to Yuri anytime soon. Still not convinced? What can I do to prove I'm not lying? Ice cream. Huh? Aspirin? Buy me ice cream and I'll forgive you. I can't help but smile at Sayori's incredibly adorable attempt at being demanding. So you admit that you were being jealous? No? The ice cream is because you were mean. I see, so that's how it is. Very well, if ice cream is the price for forgiveness, then it seems I have no choice but to pay it. Good. With this settled, we change our direction and begin heading toward the nearest convenience store. Having successfully bought Sayori's temporary good favor and coming home to eat dinner, I once again find myself sitting fatigued at the kitchen table. It's not as bad as yesterday though, likely due to the smaller amount of socializing. If reading and having the occasional conversation is all that's expected of me, joining the club may not have been a big deal as I thought. Speaking of reading, I reach for my bag and pull out the novel I'm keeping on loan from Yuri. She did seem pretty excited about being able to discuss it together. I'm guessing she doesn't get many opportunities to do something like that. Yuri doesn't really seem like the incredibly social type. Wonder if she joined the club just to have someone to talk about literature with. This thought crosses my mind while I'm setting the book on the table. There's still some time left in the evening. Guess I could use it to read. Then again, there are also a few pages of history homework I haven't done yet. Let's see. Alright. Save that. We are reading the book. I decided to continue reading. History, you don't need to do history homework. History's easy. You don't need to worry too much about it. Actually, fun fact, in high school, I had a fucking amazing history teacher who never gave any homework at all. He always said, like, the only thing you need to do is in the lessons, and after you're done with my class, then you're done. He was super cool. He was super nice as well. He was also a good storyteller. I mean, I already had an interest in history to begin with, even before I went to his classes. But it does help when you have an enthusiastic history teacher. But yeah, my interest in history started with my dad, who told me stories about the Romans and Hannibal as bedtime stories when I was like a freaking 5-year-old or something. Maybe that's a bit too young, but you know, as I was a kid. So my interest in history was started at a very young age, and school made it only worse or better depending on how you view it, you know. So yeah. But yeah, my high school history teacher was for the last 3? No, for the last 2 years? No, 3. Yeah, 3. I feel like the last 3 years of my high school, I had the same teacher, and he was amazing. He was super cool. Even during like the exam period. He finished up his like the stuff that he needed to cover for your exams. He finished that super quickly. And then he spent the rest of his lessons on explaining to you how you answer exam questions. Which is not even like related to history. This is like a general skill that he like tried to develop with us. And he like got example questions and example answers for those questions, and then what receives points and what doesn't receive points in your answer. And you know, he taught all of us to, well, if you paid attention to it, like he actually like taught about how you answer exam questions in you know, on while you're having a test, while you're doing your exams. It was pretty freaking cool. And I did believe I got an 8 on my history exam, which I was kind of proud of, because I do believe that was my highest scoring one. Oh, but yeah, of course, if you're from America, obviously in America it's like A or A plus and B and stuff like that. But in the Netherlands we have A1 is a bad grade and 10 is everything, you did everything correctly. So an 8 is, and you need a 5.5 in order to pass. 5.5 gets rounded up to a 6, and that's a pass in the Netherlands. So yeah, an 8 is pretty good, and I was pretty happy with that. Arguably with a very interesting and a very not so interesting subject, because every year, like I believe every year they like for the exam year they choose 2 historical periods, and that changes every year which ones you have to cover, I think. And the year I graduated from high school, the 2 subjects were the 80 Years' War and the Golden Age of that's Dutch history for you uninitiated. Yeah, oops, very brief history lesson. The Netherlands was part of Spain for a very long time. Well, it was part of many other. It's part of the Franks. It was part of the Roman Empire first. There were Germanic tribes living here first, and part of the Roman Empire, part of the Franks, part of the Habsburgs, and through that lineage, it became was part of the Holy Roman Empire, and then through the Habsburg lineage, it became part of the Spanish Empire, and eventually the people living in the Netherlands fought an independence war which lasted 80 years. And by the way, the Declaration of Independence from the Netherlands to Spain was the inspiration for the Declaration of Independence from America to Britain. So if any Americans are watching, you're welcome. You are fucking welcome, right? We fucking free wrote that shit for you. But yeah, the in Dutch it's called the Plakkaat van Verlatingen, which is like, well, basically it means Declaration of Independence. A plakkaat is a plaque, or, you know, like an official document of, verlatingen is leaving, a very old Dutch way of saying of leaving. So a plaque, or like a document of leaving, is literally what it means. And then they wrote that and sent it to Spain, like, hey, we're not part of your empire anymore. And of course Spain said, yeah, the hell you are, and then they sent an army over, and then the Dutch fought an independence war which lasted 80 years, which lasted like, it lasted like 76 years, which is why it's called the 80 Years' War. Something along that, like, you know, there was a 12-year truce in between, and even if you add all of the years for fighting together, it doesn't really amount to 80 anyway either, or whatever. So yeah, it's been a while since I've studied it, but it's called the 80 Years' War, even though it's not actually 80 years, but you know, there was a 12-year truce in between. And that's when the Netherlands became the Netherlands. And then after that, we had the Netherlands had the Golden Age, where they became one of the most powerful countries in the world because of trading and stuff in spices and also slavery. But mostly like the Indian spice trade was what made absolute like truckloads of money back then. Indonesia was a Dutch colony at that. Well, it became a Dutch colony during that period. South Africa was a Dutch colony for a while. Ceylon, or whatever it's called, that island underneath India. Sri Lanka, I believe it's called today. Like, that was a Dutch colony for a while. Suriname was, of course, a Dutch colony. Sugar was made there. Among other things, of course. But yeah, so those were so that was one subject, the 80 Years War of Independence, and then the Golden Age. And of course the disaster year 1672, where the Netherlands was attacked by England and France and two German states all together at the same year, all four of them. Yeah, and then end of the Golden Age was where that started. So that was one subject, which is interesting. And then, I'm very sorry to say this, but then the second subject, which was not so interesting, was the American independence. I mean, of course, it made sense, you know. We had to draw, comparisons between our independence and then the American independence. So it makes sense that both of those would be both of the subjects that would be on the exams. So yeah, the second subject was American independence, and then what followed afterwards, the few years after that. But I guess you can already hear by my tone and how much I remembered of it, I was not super interested in that. I'm very sorry. I mean, obviously, if you are from America, you find your own history way more interesting than my or any other country's history. I mean, that doesn't have to be, but that makes sense if it like happens. So you know, from your perspective, I guess you can also understand that me looking at another country that is like, yeah, no. Especially because it's like considered like, oh, it's the American War of Independence. Like, yeah, no, there's been tons of wars of independence. Like I said, your Declaration of Independence was pre-written by us, by our ancestors. Well, actually, not really. My ancestors are, well, to be honest, it's actually... I'm going off on a massive tangent right now, but like, you've got like those websites, right, where you can like make a family tree, right? Like myheritage.com or something, I believe they're called. I mean, it's not the only one, there are multiple ones. But my dad was busy with like filling in like the family tree from his side, because I actually have family living in Canada, because part of my I've got some aunts and uncles from my dad's side of the family that live in Canada right now. They emigrated to to Canada like after World War II. So it's been like not recently or anything, that they lived there for a while. So my dad was like busy with the whole family tree, like making all the connections and you know what. And with that, he also like tried to go back as far as possible where our like family name comes from, and like you could also like, and also like my like stepmom did like a DNA test, and then you can like see where your heritage is from, right? Like what what part of the world you're from, and like she was from like, she had like Scandinavian, right? Like Scandinavian, like Norway, Finland. northern England, like Scotland and stuff. And so it was like Celtic roots, so like England, like northern England mostly, but like and also maybe France, but can't really remember that for sure. And then the Norse regions, like Scandinavia and stuff. So she was like, like her lineage came from all over the place. And then my dad, who did the same thing, and it was just Netherlands, Germany. That was it. Like fucking, my ancestors never fucking went anywhere. They were in Germany for a very long time, and eventually they moved to the Netherlands, and they were like, "Oh, fine." They were like, "That was a journey and a half. We're never doing that again." And then that is my ancestry, just in this general region where I am right now. I mean, which is kind of funny because me personally, I don't really feel like emigrating super far away from where I live or where I was born anyway, so it does make sense. It is in my blood, I guess. Yeah. So that was super funny. Like my stepmom was like all like fucking Celtic regions and like northern England, like Scotland stuff, and like also like Scandinavian parts were found in her DNA or whatever, you know. So like fucking her lineage came from fucking all over the place. And then half my lineage, of course, my father's side, just fucking this big. Just there, concentrate, all of us, which fucking, like, when we just moved like one house. That was a journey for my ancestors, I guess. Like fucking nowhere. my ancestors went nowhere. It's absolutely nowhere. Germany, and then fucking they just decided, no, the Netherlands may be funny, and then they moved 300 meters, and they were like, whew, wow, that was a journey. Like, let's never do that again. Yeah. Anyway. Well, not essentially, because that's just my father's side, of course. I don't really know where my... well, actually, no, my mom's side would be worse, because my mom's side would have been... like, if we had to check... I mean, there could have always been a crazy ancestor that fucking traveled, that came from fucking Italy or something. I don't know, like 700 years ago. Who knows? But if we go super far back for my mom's side, I think it would be even more concentrated than the result that I got from my dad's side. Like my dad's like scope of where my dad's like my ancestors from my dad's side would be like this big. Like, well, this big, and then if we had to look at the fucking scale or the size or whatever from my mom's size, it would be this big, I think. This maybe, this. That would be even worse. I mean, like I said, maybe like 700 years ago, one of my mom's ancestors actually was born in Italy and then eventually traveled here. Who knows? But for as far as you can realistically go back, I don't really think you're going to find many records at all, first of all. And the ones you do find probably won't even go as far as Germany. I'm pretty sure that all of that stuff will all just stay in the Netherlands for maybe Belgium or whatever. Like maybe just across the border to Germany. Won't go much further than... So I come from two lineages or whatever that both have a history of not really traveling anywhere. Just not like having any cultural influences from any other fucking parts of Europe. It's just one group stayed right there and the other group stayed right there, and I'm the result of two like completely different like ancestral lines of people that both stayed exactly where they were for ages and that have no cultural mingling of whatever, you know, like not like they married an Italian that got in, so that I've got like part Italian DNA, or I married it like some of my ancestors married someone from France that has Celtic lineage or whatever. No, it's just Germans marrying other Germans or Dutch people marrying other Dutch people, and then they came together, and eventually it ended up with me, who was also not really planning to go anywhere else. So, well, then again, who knows? Maybe. knows how love and life works. But anyway, that was a massive tangent that had absolutely nothing to do with Doki Doki Literature Club whatsoever. But that is kind of like why I love this game, because that kind of brings that stuff out of me from time to time. All right, let's just finish this day up, and then I'll end off the episode. I decided to continue reading on the book. I was about to say, I don't even know how I started this whole conversation. It was because I said you don't even have to work on history homework, and then I got on my history teacher, and like some people, like I've heard a few times that people suggested I should make a podcast or something about Roman history or something along those lines. I could have a podcast where I just talk about shit all the time. I'm pretty sure I can fill up an hour. Anyway, after gathering my things, I head to my bedroom. I sit at my desk, book in hand, and pick up from where I left off. It's not long before I once again find myself totally engrossed in the despair that is the killing game. Each character is so thought and fleshed out that it seems the culprit could really be anyone. Everyone has their own motives, their own reasons that they might want to selectively kill the others. My first guess at the killer was proven to be wrong after that character was found hanging in a dorm room. Ooh. Wasn't there like rather recently, like a movie or a TV or like a Netflix series or something about something exactly like this? I kind of do recall having seen a trailer or something very similar of like a group of kids going to school or going to somewhere, and then lights go out and then there's a dead body all of a sudden. Or am I just completely making that up because it's such a generic plot or whatever, you know? I really do feel like I've seen a trailer of that like rather recently, and then nothing again after that because I had completely forgotten it up until right now. But like I said, this is a bit of a generic plot, so maybe I'm just making it up. I almost can't stop myself from continuing. What? Almost can't stop myself from continuing? Doesn't that mean that you... Oh, whatever. I'm pretty sure it does mean what it's supposed to mean. As the atmosphere of the novel becomes more and more hopeless. Oddly enough, it seems the author did quite a bit of research on the subject, and I find myself learning about several stress-induced mental disorders. Intelligence increased by 2. Bzz, bzz. My concentration is broken as my phone begins vibrating on the desk next to me. That's a rare occurrence. Wonder if it's just Kiba sending me a picture of his new waifu he's discovered. I'm increasingly tempted to ignore it after saying this out loud, but find myself giving into curiosity nonetheless. The notification reads, new messages from Lit Club Group Chat. Lit Club Group Chat? Oh yeah, Monika did mention that Sayori would add me to the messaging group at some point. Does that mean someone's gonna miss tomorrow, or maybe the meeting got cancelled? I soon learned that this was not the case. What? Alright, I'll end it off here because I've been talking for an hour about absolute random bullshit, which is probably not interesting, so feel free to skip ahead at any time. I'll save it here and then we'll continue with this in the next episode. Hope everyone's enjoyed it. Click the like button if you did, subscribe to join the Roman army, and I'll see you in the next one. See you later, Romans. Walete.